Yeah,
So
one of
what
my
kind,
good friends from BU, she worked for Wayfair, now she works for Amazon. She does like all like the operations of warehouses.
that's crazy. Like their operations and logistics, like I can't even wrap my head around it. Like how they get me like my shower loofah in 18 hours from the time I ordered it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Without a Roadmap. This is the podcast for product folks who get the job done, but are still figuring it out. My name is Yonas. I'm joined here by my co-host, Cameron, the Magnificent.
What's going on, everybody? I feel like last time you had a little bit more oomph to that intro before my name, but it's all good though.
Run it back. We'll run it back.
Nah, I was gonna keep going with it.
My bad.
I think today we wanted to go a little deeper into kind of prioritizing and the whole road mapping space that as PMs, we're always constantly talking about the roadmap, what to work on next, juggling different priorities. So I think last time we briefly touched about some frameworks. I think this time we should go a little bit deeper in it into how we do it at Parlor and some of the balance and act that we try to do here at Parlor as well. Started off, we're going into the next phase and we focusing on the next pillar of Parlor's feedback management system, which is prioritize and validate, which is, as you may expect, getting into some roadmap features. So you may think, why is a feedback company starting to dip their toes into some roadmap things? And I think primarily because, it's like a natural segue for us because now we have all this feedback. We have it collected. We organize it in a way that it's centered around your user needs or new features. And so naturally, the next step is you have this feedback organized in a way into user needs. Like, what do you do with those organized things? And I think the natural thing is to prioritize them so you know what you need to work on next based on how many people it's impacting and how much of an impact it'll have on your overall business, either with current accounts or potential customers.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this feature. I feel like, a lot of people go to the market thinking about, user feedback management, but I think more people go into the market, and when I say people, I mean like product folks, looking for these like individual point solutions. And one of those that to me sounds like, one of the more prominent ones is some sort of road mapping tool. That every company at some stage will get to a point where, like Notion docs or, just keeping track in a Google Doc isn't going to suffice for keeping track
PowerPoint.
of, yeah. Oh yeah. God. So, it's exciting because it is kind of one of those things that more naturally seems to have, populations of product people, who are in search of features for this. So diving into this is definitely something that, we're excited about working on for, growth reasons, but it's actually interesting. Speaking of prioritize and validate, we actually had previously deprioritized working on the prioritize and validate pillar for Parlor for a number of different reasons and kind of resurfaced it. And I think just the kind of steps or the stage at which we are at now that kind of is leading us to this point is kind of interesting and potential case study for us to look into, dive into how different product teams approach kind of shifting priorities on their roadmaps in order to kind of fit either their growth stage, where the market sits at any particular moment, and different, other kind of environmental shocks like a pandemic, how those sorts of things might also impact your roadmap, and could have a profound impact on your business. And I think for folks who are interested in just kind of following our journey and Parlor's journey, kind of give you a look inside, how that process is made, and maybe learn a few things that you can apply at your job.
Yeah, for sure. I think the cool thing is like we're building a feature that we're going to use internally at Parlor for ourselves, but also you have to be careful of that because you don't want to build things that just fit your use case or your company, because as we found out, every company does product differently, and I'm sure every company manages or prioritizes their roadmap a lot differently. Like I recently was on a call just doing a user interview, and they had a different framework where it's like a 6 to 9 month rolling roadmap where they have like defined things that they know they're going to release within 0 to 3 months, so within a quarter. And then 3 to 6 months, they're more so testing designs and testing the next phase of functionality that they want to get to. And then 6 to 9 months, it's more of us like they're committing to addressing a problem statement. So they know that there's something out there in the market or something big that either one customer of their highest account or multiple customers are requesting that they know they need to solve. So they're just going to commit to that problem statement, but they don't know exactly how they're going to solve for that. So they're just going to do some like discovery process stuff. So I just thought it was pretty interesting because like at our stage, this is a more mature company. At our stage, we probably can't do that.
No, no, we got to be real nimble. We gotta be able to kind of maneuver different situations very quickly. And I think that one of the benefits of being on a small product team is that there are fewer moving parts, so you can kind of make those shifts and kind of accommodate them rather easily. But there are obviously the downsides of not being able to move as quickly with respect to like actually like kind of architecting things to plan for the future. So there are those trade-offs. But I think part of being a startup is being flexible and kind of moving through your adjusting your roadmap accordingly. And I think one of the things we do that's pretty smart is by using the three horizon approach as opposed to focusing really deeply on individual sprints or having a super solidified roadmap. And for those who aren't familiar, I actually don't know how relevant the three horizon framework is. Kind of publicly we talk about it internally as if it's like the only way. But so what the three horizon framework is essentially looking at product development from a kind of a longer term lens. So I think our horizon 1 is like 6 to 12 months. Horizon 2 is like 1 to 2 years, and then horizon 3 is 2+ years and beyond, and kind of focusing on hitting particular product milestones within those horizons as a way to kind of first obtaining product market fit, eventually horizon 2 ideally you're in growth stage, and then horizon 3 is kind of growth stage and beyond. So with the horizon framework, we're not really held down to these really strict guidelines or deadlines for particular functionality, but more so having the flexibility to kind of weave in and out different things that are relevant to us in the moment, whether it's for growth or product related milestones, as long as we're constantly working towards those higher level product visionary goals that we have. And I think we've been doing that pretty well. But our day-to-day, month-to-month roadmap is definitely much more dynamic,
Ever changing. Yeah, I think as a pretty good segue into just talking about like our balancing act of like as an early stage startup, we obviously want to create features that make a lot of noise, that are super relevant to the market and that bring a lot of eyes to our product so that we get more customers, obviously. But at the same time, there's also like tech debt and like I would say like expectation debt that we accumulate by deprioritizing some stuff that we know we need to get done, but it's not going to help us close deals. It's not going to help us bring more eyes to our product. Like it's not a big flashy feature. So maybe taking the rest of the time is to talk through how we do that, how we determine which one to prioritize at the given time, and then some of like the consequences that come with prioritizing flashy features over some of the more things that you need to get done, whether it's just general product enhancements to the core product, or it's fixing tech debt, or it's whatever it may be.
Mm. Yeah, and I'm curious, like in your perspective, what are different situations that might force you to, deprioritize a flashy feature over, tech debt or something kind of related to foundational product development required for longer term goals?
Yeah, it's something I've been kind of thinking about the last couple of weeks. I think the way I would go about that is, how do I say this? It's more so we're always trying to go as fast as possible, right? Push as much product out that's of high quality in as little amount of time. And sometimes in order to do that, you have to slow down a little bit to ramp up the back end infrastructure of your product in order to support you going faster than long term. So like one thing that I don't have much experience on, but I had like maybe a couple of months before I left my old company, it was automated testing. So that's doing regression tests. So that's every time you make a new feature, you automate the testing of everything in your platform that already exists to make sure that what you're just about to release isn't going to break anything. So like we've had this experience sometimes where we release a new feature, we're all excited, and then we go in there to test it out in production, or Keith does a demo, or one of our customers find a bug that wasn't even remotely what we thought close or associated with the new feature, but it got affected because something new was pushed out, and somehow in the back end it got touched, and now there's things breaking in our dashboard in our product that we have to quickly adjust, and us having to stop work on the next phase of features in order to put out that quick fire that even may take a day or could take 2 weeks. That eventually slows us down and prohibits us from moving faster because we're having to constantly go back and fix stuff that shouldn't have been broken in the first place.
Right. So investing engineering resources to building these regression tests does kind of in the long term save you a lot of time and hassle. But you kind of it's hard to
Yeah.
hard to think of it like that when you're spending a week building out tests for something that customers will never see.
Yeah, exactly. You can't sell your automated testing. Like maybe you can say, "Oh, we're so reliable. We're
That's what you're
99.9%."
selling. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
you're
pretty much
selling
what you're selling. Yeah,
a bug-free product.
yeah. But then at the same time, like if you're on some of these calls, like discovery calls, sales calls, or like your current customers really want this feature, but all your engineers are tied up doing tests, like what do you do?
Mhm.
Say, hey,
Mhm.
sorry, we're actually trying
We're
to do
building.
tests. Yeah, so we're not building new features right now. But at the same
Yeah.
time, in the future, like once you take the time to actually commit to building out your test suite, whether it takes a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's going to pay off in the long run because you never have to go back and spend those 3 weeks to do it again.
Mhm. Yeah, and on the flip side, there's obviously that long-term foundational work that you need to prioritize, to reach those long-term product goals. But let's say we just got off a call with some super sexy company that we would love the logo for, and they want something that isn't on our roadmap for another quarter. But in order to close them, it would require that we have this feature in question. So in a lot of cases, especially for early stage companies, who were just as important as product development is logo velocity and showing that you're signing up these accounts, and in particular important accounts, and obviously high paying accounts. You
Mhm.
do have to shift some priorities around that might impact your longer term goals, but help you close short term revenue, and that has probably impacted our roadmap the most. And maybe not as much, more recently. I think
Yeah, I agree.
we've definitely improved, or I guess we've just kind of changed our mentality from focusing on short-term revenue and kind of providing these custom features for individual customers to thinking more about the long-term vision and kind of investing in that growth. But I do know if there was a time where we were ready to drop just about everything and build out a specific integration. Oh God, Snowflake.
Right. Right,
Yeah,
right. But I
it's like.
also think it's like I think more so we're doing this less frequently is because we're kind of like on our way to approaching product market fit. So like we know exactly, like we have a clear vision of what we need to build in order to get there. And if we don't have it, like luckily we sell primarily to product teams and also customer success teams. And dealing with PMs, I feel like they're more understanding into the process behind developing new features. Like, all right, so we don't have this. So they have a rough idea of how long it's going to take for us to actually spec it out, design it, go through design review, hand it off to engineering, test it, and then get it deployed. Like they have a pretty good understanding of all that stuff. So I feel like they're more willing to partner with you and be involved in that process of building out new features and functionality that's going to directly benefit them, because as a product person you always love building new stuff, and then there's no better I feel like there's no better feeling to help build something that you have no kind of like you're not held against how it actually performs. If that makes sense.
Right.
Like you don't
Right.
have to go in the weeds about little details and like do compromise, and you say, hey, I want this, and then you just help them by just reviewing some designs. Like it's the best part.
It is ideal. It's great, good and bad working with selling to product people because they can
Yeah.
also see through all of your BS.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But
That's-
on the flip side, companies, let's like, B2C companies, software products like Twitter, their user base has been begging for, an edit tweet feature, and they don't understand why Twitter hasn't built that. And it's like, of course, Twitter could build an edit tweet feature if they wanted to, but they clearly have reasons for not doing so. Maybe it doesn't, fall within their guidelines, or the ways that they want the product to be used. But the average Twitter user doesn't know that. They're like, damn, this is a big miss. How do you not have this feature? So, pros and cons.
Yeah. I mean, I even think just to get away from just some of the balance of between high flashy features and just like stuff you need to get done. Like it's not always about just like testing and back end infrastructure stuff. Sometimes it's things is a gap in your product, or is a bug that hasn't been found, or it's hard to get found. And it's like the balancing act of ignoring that for now and waiting to address it later, or developing that new highly marketable feature. I feel like it's the
Mhm.
balance of developing the flashy thing versus being proactive in problem and preventing problems, as opposed to waiting down the line and then solving those problems in front of your customers. Because like solving problems in front of your customers, like, oh hey, thanks, like you saved it, you solved the problem, like you fixed the bug, like thank you, all this gratitude, like it's very visible, all that stuff. Whereas when you're preventing problems, like it's invisible because your customer never actually saw that was a gap or that was a bug in your in your product.
It's invisible until they see it, in which case, it immediately gets escalated, and, if it's
Exactly.
serious enough.
But if you're
Yeah.
proactive about solving those problems and preventing those problems, they never see it, and you never really get that gratitude. You never get like that what's that chemical in the brain? Uh
What,
Dopamine.
serotonin, dopamine.
Yeah, you never get that dopamine for for
Yeah.
fixing something, getting the thank you.
Those thank yous do make me feel real good when you
See?
fix a customer issue. That is great. But I'm curious your thoughts on like like how different companies approach making like quality of life improvements to their products, as opposed to like investing in these new features and functionality that might bring in a new audience, or expand the
Mhm.
value proposition of your product. I think we're at a stage where either one is super important, because we're coming up on our users who just about all of them have 1 year subscriptions. The kind of first big batch of folks
Mhm.
with who are ready to potentially renew are coming around. So those quality of life improvements might reduce churn, and get them to stick
Right.
around. But at the same time, we're also coming up on the end of the year, and closing all these new deals is equally important. So
Mhm.
like where like what kind of what's the like the is there a secret formula to kind of balancing these two priorities?
I wouldn't be the one to tell a secret formula, but I have been thinking about this like the last like month or so, just by like reading like other people's like announcements of new feature updates and all that stuff. And like, the way I was thinking about it is like to balance between new flashy features and just either general enhancements to the core product, or just other quality of life improvements, is trying to combine those two in the same release. And so if you
Mm,
have multiple engineers, you're fortunate to have multiple engineers or multiple different like teams or pods of engineers. Maybe like what I would ideally want to get to at Parlor is like splitting those down the line, or not down the line, but like assigning different things to different pods of engineers. So then, all right, we have like 3 to 4 working on our new prioritize and validate, right? Then we have another 3 to 4 working on some general enhancements to the core product, and then we have like another 3 to 4 working on something else. So this way, like we're hitting on multiple different things at the same time, and so like one release, if we have automated testing, so we're not having to just focus on releasing one thing at a time. Like one release can encompass like prioritize and validate. It can encompass updates to the widget. It can encompass new integrations that feed to everything in our product. So like we're making progress across multiple different areas of our product, multiple different pillars. And so we're bringing new eyes to our product with the new release of the flashy feature. We're enhancing the experience to our existing customers because either they are going to greatly see value in like the general quality of life improvements. And then with the integrations, we're getting more eyes on our product as well because we're going to be in those marketplaces for the third party products.
Mm. Yeah. So best case scenario, you're able to, build your engineering team in a way where they can kind of work in parallel across
Exactly.
those two realms. And I think we're actually kind of close to that.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We've got Project Bulletproof, which is, our code name for, quality of life improvements throughout the project. And, we have a couple engineers who are like consistently working across, on projects that improve those specific areas, and then we have a pod that's focused on the new pillars of work that we're working on. So I think as our team grows, we're able to actually manage that. That was the issue prior, is that it's just me and you as product managers. We have a project manager now, which is
Yeah, super
making it a
helpful.
lot easier. Oh my god, yeah, that those updates every day of the status, that's amazing.
It's lovely. But yeah, like I would say, like even when you have different pods, like depending on how big the new feature is, or depending on if you're doing like a redesign of a core product feature you currently have, just to make it better, and like you just need to just wipe the slate clean and start from scratch. You can shift around your engineering team to accommodate things that require more engineers or more people to work on. So
Mm.
say you have a couple quality of life fixes that one person can probably all do in 1 week. All right, cool. We can take some people from that team, put them on a new flashy feature. Hopefully we can get that done in the same amount of time so that our release encompasses a whole bunch of stuff. So it's like a big, big shiny moment that everybody can be happy part of. Because you don't want to, I think ideally you don't want to release things that only cater to like one segment of your user population and ignore the rest, because everyone now has different tiers of access to their product.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if you're just only focusing on like your highest tier, the people in the middle that you could potentially upsell, or that might churn because you're just ignoring them, they're not going to benefit from the features that are locked behind a paywall,
A paywall,
yeah,
right?
paywall, paygate.
Hmm. And back to the idea, like how these things differ depending on the kind of growth stage of your company. Like one of the main goals of a like really early product is obviously achieving like a minimum viable segment. So not quite minimum viable product, and not quite product market fit, but like what is the minimal viable group of users that you can provide a feature or product for, that solves their pain points in a way that is interesting enough for them to be an active engaged user.
Right.
And so in those cases you're going to have to oftentimes like prioritize features that are going to be particularly relevant to them, even though it might not fall in line with your long-term product vision. And what you're able to do then is kind of compare your long-term product vision with the learnings that you gain from watching these early users engage with your product, and also taking end user interviews and all the research you're doing, and then using all of that to inform your real long-term product vision. Because as much as we follow this horizon framework that looks 3+ years out, even that is still flexible, and all
Oh
of that
yeah.
is going to be guided directly by the conversations we have every day with customers, and sales conversations, and watching engagement with our platform. So I think it's all about being flexible, understanding where your company is at, and kind of also staying on top of development and your engineers, so that there's kind of an efficient process in place so that you can get the long-term product work done while still prioritizing those individual features that are sure to delight your customers.
Right. Right. So it's like being flexible, trying to balance between building flashy, highly marketable features and also just building features that you need to get done, either to enhance the core area of product or just to prevent problems in the future. It's like, how do you balance that and make sure you're making progress across multiple different areas of your product, because everything needs love and attention, needs some TLC.
Yes, it is. That, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Truer words have never been spoken. And that's it. That's product strategy. It's simple. Who said it was tough?
Right?
Yeah, that's it.
Secret sauce right there. All right, I think that wraps it up for today. So your boy can go on his run.
Yeah, everybody pray for Cam. He's about to run like 3 p.m. California time, heat. So if he doesn't make it back by next week, we know that it was the heat exhaustion that did it to him.
It's not too bad. It's 87.
Oh wow, it's hotter in Boston.
Yeah. Oh wow. Tomorrow, from Wednesday to Friday, it's gonna be above 97. 103 on Friday.
You can get your hot yoga in next week then, or the rest of the week.
Oh yeah.
Just
And
turn
with
the AC
that,
off.
as my girl Yoga with Adrian would say, namaste. What a sign off, right?
That was actually that's why I was laughing. I was like, wait a second, that was actually clean.